Hey, just waiting for the stoplight. And it's annoying. Because it's a really long stoplight. Like, eventually it'll change. Dump truck. Hey, how's it going? Alright, screw this. It's breaking the law. Hey, the light changed. So, DC has a mask law, but there's nobody around. And I gotta put my mask on again when I get over here. I actually want to put my mask on over here because there's a bunch of kids running around over here. This is like a popular hangout for the nannies. We're on the grounds of the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. We're going to go for a walk. And the mask is coming on. Going to go for a walk down to Georgetown. And then probably come back. Haven't quite decided which way, what to see. Over this way. Everything's closed off today. Lots of construction. Really poor timing. School's supposed to start. I can't go that way. Can I go this way? I guess I can go this way. Can you guys hear me with my mask on, or do I have to speak louder? No idea what they're digging up. Some sort of pipe. Louder. Yeah, you gotta speak louder. I think they're replacing a pipe. Right, there, we got the mask off again. We can take the mask off every now and then. There you can see the earthquake damage being repaired. Oh, I hear an owl. We can go through the garden, but I don't know how crowded the garden is. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Yeah, there's a lot of kids here. No, they won't arrest you. Not in DC. If you're doing vigorous activity, you don't have to wear a mask. So, we had an earthquake about 5 or 6 years ago that caused a tremendous amount of damage to the cathedral. And they're still actually repairing the earthquake damage. You can come over here and we can see some of the gargoyles and some of the other grotesques. So these are some of the stones waiting to go back up on the side of the building. These are some of the pillars. So they stack these on top of each other. Hey Ben, how you doing? So they had to wheel these all down from up there where the damage took place. The cathedral's been closed. I'm doing all right. I've been pretty busy. We mask on for a second. So we relocated partially from the country house back to the city in anticipation of school starting. So we spent the night last night in the city, and no sooner than I got to the city than I had a burglar alarm go off in my country house. So I went back out to the country house, turned out to be a malfunction, and came back to the city. I drove quite a bit yesterday, to be honest. So today I'm not driving, I'm walking. Yeah, I was actually working on a window, and I think I hit the sensor with a hammer or something, and that set it up into malfunction mode. Hey, welcome guys to your first day on Periscope. You're in Washington, D.C. on the grounds of the National Cathedral complex. And we're going to go for a little walk down towards Georgetown. Big debate we haven't decided right now is whether we're going to go down past the embassies or if we're just going to go straight down to Georgetown. I'm actually kind of inclined to go straight down to Georgetown, but I know you guys like to see the embassies and the vice president's house and all that. It is a beautiful day. It's about 79 degrees. That's about, 27 Celsius? It's going all right. A little bit tiring. It's a little bit of an adjustment. We're staying out in the country for the last 6 months, and now we're back in the city. And I thought about going straight down Wisconsin, but here's my rationale. If I go down Massachusetts, which is the embassy row, I can then cut over into Georgetown and come back up Wisconsin. The reason I wanted to come up Wisconsin is because I can stop at the barbecue joint Rockland's, get a sandwich, and then finish my ride home with my fresh sandwich. Whereas if I do it the other direction, the sandwich would be at the beginning, and that wouldn't be as much fun. But we haven't quite settled on that plan yet. I haven't gone to Wingo's. That's interesting you mentioned that, because my kids now love chicken wings, and I know there's a wings place there, and I never have tried it. I'll have to look at doing that. This walk is going to be about 4 miles, I think. 3.5, 4 miles. This is going to be about 10,000 steps, which works out to about 4 miles at my gait, my pace. So we're on the grounds of the National Cathedral, St. Albans School, and the National Cathedral School. 15 wings for $12. I might have to try that for my kids. Do the schools give family option for full remote, hybrid, etc.? The school here is for the next 6 weeks they are online only, given an increase in the number of cases in DC over the last 2 months. So they've gone to online only for the first 6 weeks. Now, it's not totally online. There are a few activities once a week, twice a week, where you can come to school. For example, the 4th grade students, they're going to be at school 3 days a week and then home 2 days a week. Then the idea is that they're going to transition to a hybrid model where you're basically on 1 week, off 1 week, or you're in school 1 week and the other thing. Is there a tour of 8th and I? DC is sort of going up slowly now. No, I don't think there's a tour of 8th and I. However, every Friday night, the Marine Barracks at 8th and I has a formal Twilight Tattoo, a parade, and it is one of the most excellent military parades you'll find in Washington, D.C. The band is there, the Drum and Bugle Corps is there, Chesty, the Marines mascot, is there. If you can swing tickets to the parade on Friday night at the Marine Barracks, definitely worth checking out. You can also catch it online. There's plenty of those on YouTube. Definitely worth seeing. But I don't think there's a formal tour of the Marine Barracks. It is, after all, an operational post. However, next door at the United States Navy Yard, there is the U.S. Navy Museum, and then there is the Museum of the Cold War. Now, you have to fill out a government form to gain admissions to the Navy Yard. You need some identification, etc. But then you can go to this museum, which is one of the least crowded museums in D.C. because of all the security. And it's actually really well stocked. I don't usually carry water with me. This is the thing. I got despoiled hiking in Hong Kong, is that you could always buy water anywhere you were in Hong Kong, and it wasn't that expensive. So I would just always go out in Hong Kong, and then if I got thirsty, I'd just stop in and grab a bottle of water somewhere. I was never that far from water sources. Here, though, we'll see. If I get thirsty. we'll hit a 7-Eleven. Past your house, go down Mass Avenue. Right now, I've only been hiking on the treadmill. I haven't really hiked in the country out of my house out there, but we've been walking on the treadmill. My goal is 10,000 steps, but some days I do double that. Some days I do half that. Just depends. So we're coming up on Massachusetts Avenue, which will start the Embassy Row and the Vice President's house. We gotta pick the right side of the street though, because it is a bit sunny. In the shade, it's actually quite pleasant, but in the sun, it's a bit roasty. If I'm a total couch potato, I find I do 3,000 steps. That's like going to the bathroom, getting up, walking to the TV, That's probably the lowest. If I just generally stay in the house, I can do 4,000 or 5,000 steps. The other day, because I was moving, I kept going in and out to the car and up and down the stairs. I actually did like 10,000 steps that way, which was surprising. Now, when I was seriously losing weight in Hong Kong, I was averaging about 20 to 25,000 steps a day, with good days being in the 30 to 35 range and bad days being in the 20 range. So I was walking about 10 to 20 miles, not more than that. I was walking about 20 miles a day or something like that. The biggest day I've ever done, I've had a couple days I've gone over 40,000 steps. That's basically a marathon. I lost 60 pounds in Hong Kong. Sad to say though, since I came back to America, I've gained 20. No, not 20, I've gained about 15. Life in America isn't quite the same. The food is heavier and bigger portions, and you drive a lot more. In Hong Kong, we ate lighter, we moved more, we walked everywhere. It's been kind of frustrating, to be honest. No, I'm not a big runner. I'm not really a runner. I used to be. When I was in high school, I could go run, say, 6 miles or so. I could bike a lot. Hello. So we're coming up on our first embassy. This is the Norwegian embassy. Norway's embassy is actually being renovated right now. So while it looks nice and pretty up here, on the backside it's all cranes and construction vehicles and a big hole in the ground. I don't know that I walk in America. That's Queen Maud, I believe. She was the granddaughter. Was that the daughter or granddaughter of Queen Victoria? I don't think there's a tour of 8th and I, but like I said, you should definitely check out the parade on a Friday night. Since 9/11, most national security related facilities no longer have tours. In fact, you used to be able to tour this place, the Naval Observatory. So guys, this is the master clock of the U.S. government. It is officially 11:37, 12 seconds, 13 seconds. This is U.S. government time. So that time is kept here at the Naval Observatory, where the Vice President lives, and is the official time of everything. The U.S. Navy Yard will let you go to the museum and stuff, and you can walk around the Navy Yard a little bit. You can go to the Naval Academy. Actually, I think it's closed due to Corona. That's the Vatican's embassy over there, the Holy See. And over there is Finland's embassy. The Finns are over there. They have a nice little library there. They have like one of those little libraries where you can go, and they actually share famous or up-and-coming Finnish authors. So they get like the top books in the finished thing. I'm about as close as I can get to Pence's house right now, literally. I mean, it's right on the other side of these trees. So yeah, you can get some really cool books of up-and-coming Finnish authors. So Vice President Pence's place, you can't really see it in the summer because there's too many trees, but literally it's about 100-yard dash. If I was to hop that fence, it'd be actually not even 100. It's like 50 yards up there would be Pence's place. I'd be shot at about 20 yards, I think. This is the thing about hiking in DC. It's just so loud. There's so many cars. Joe Biden lived here. Vice President Bush has lived here. Quayle lived here. Yeah. Every vice president since Rockefeller. Is there a tour of the vice president's residence? No. There used to be a tour of the U.S. Naval Observatory where you could go back and see the telescopes. You could go see the atomic clock. But after September 11th, no, the vice president's place is actually quite huge. I would say like 5 bedrooms probably. It used to be the Chief of Naval Operations headquarters. Or the top admiral. The Navy's top admiral used to live there. And Rockefeller stole it. Big no trespassing signs, infrared sensors, cameras, motion detectors. Place is loaded. The front entrance where I just was, where the clock was located, if there's not a lot of trees, you can see the top of the building, basically. But generally, you can't see it. However, in the past, on Halloween, they do allow kids, and kids only, to go up and get some Halloween stuff. Yes, the Secret Service is guarding this place. In fact, you'll see there's a Secret Service security post right up there. You can see it under the trees. Just on the other side of this ridge is the helicopter landing zone. Marine 2 comes up here. No, it's not as visible as the White House. It's farther back from the road. And more chill. Yeah. The vice president actually has a slightly more normal life than the president. In fact, once I went to a movie cinema nearby here. This is 20 years ago. And there was like 2 rows right in the middle of the theater that were like blocked off. And just literally before the movie started, they said, the Secret Service came in, a DC cop came in, and just said, ladies and gentlemen, could you all remain in your seats for just a moment? We're just like, what's going on? So we all stayed in our seats, and then Dan Quayle came in with his family. He had his kids. They sat down in the seats. Everybody watched the movie. And they actually said, at the end of the movie, please remain in your seats. Please do not get up until given the clearance. And then the movie was over. We all stayed up. They got up right away. And then the Secret Service says, okay, secure, you can move. Thank you. So here's a Secret Service entrance. Ooh, a rental truck going to the Secret Service entrance. Maybe it's going to blow up or something. So he's going to have a Secret Service guard come out and check him out. Here they come. He's getting out of his car. Oh, he's lazy. Okay. Across from the Vice President. Rule Britannia. Dan Quayle was President Bush Sr.'s Vice President. But Cheney used to go out and do stuff. I mean, the Vice President will go out to dinner and stuff like that in the neighborhood. So guys, this is the British Embassy. It's one of the largest embassies in DC, given the special relationship. President's office is located in the Executive Office Building, which is next to the White House. It's where most of the White House staff have their offices. Vice President also has an office in the Capitol Building, as the Vice President is technically the President of the Senate. The Vice President usually meets with the President at least once a week, usually for breakfast or something one day. And they chit-chat. Yeah. So this is the British Ambassador's residence in the back, behind the British Embassy. Excuse me. There's like pollen everywhere here. Yeah, the Botanical Garden by the Capitol. I haven't been there in a long time. We used to go ice skating on the reflecting pool next to the Capitol, and then we'd get really, really cold, and then we'd run into the Botanical Gardens like desert section where it was like 100 degrees. So your body would undergo this like huge temperature change. Now the Canadian Embassy is actually very, very close to the U.S. Capitol. It's the closest building to the Capitol, closest embassy to the Capitol. No, up here is the end of the British Ambassador's residence, and then across the street is a former British colony, South Africa, now independent. On this side is Winston Churchill. I don't really have allergies. I just had some dust blow in my face that time. And he's looking over at Nelson Mandela. Obama lives down on the other side of this bridge, but I'm not sure I'm going to go there because you can't really see much. That's the former Moroccan embassy. The Air and Space Museum is under massive renovation right now. There's not much to see there. This is the Bolivian embassy. The Air and Space Museum at Dulles Airport, which is the Air and Space Annex Museum, has reopened because it's much larger and easier to social distance. That's where they've got a space shuttle, Concorde, 707, the Enola Gay, a bunch of other famous planes. So that Morocco built a new embassy, so they don't really use this anymore. This is the Brazilian embassy. Helen Keller's ashes in the National Cathedral. I wasn't aware of that. I know they have a lot of people. I think there's a president entombed there, and Matthew Shepard was recently entombed at the National Cathedral. Embaixada of Brazil. Embassy in Brazil. The Brazilian ambassador lives right next door. Oh, I'm kind of retired. I do all sorts of little things for money every now and then. I think my most recent job title was Senior Fellow. I like that. Senior Fellow with a think tank. Okay. The lawn service for the president is controlled by the National Park Service. The National Park Service, I think, technically maintains the building, the grounds of the White House. The Vice President's place, because it's a Navy base, the Vice President's lawn is probably maintained by whoever the Navy hires to do their lawn care. Yeah, they cut down a bunch of trees apparently in the Rose Garden. Don't know why. Now it doesn't really look like a garden, it looks like a big yard. Okay, so here's our choices. We stay on this path, we pass a bunch of embassies. I've been there twice. We can go past a bunch of, we can go this way into Georgetown and see some fancy houses. This way's through the woods and it's probably cooler. I'm thinking that might be the way we go today. Yeah, let's go through the woods. I think in part because there's a lot of sun that direction. Let's get hot. So we're going to cut through. We're actually going to cut behind the Italian embassy over here and the Danish embassy. The Denmark has their embassy back here as well. I met a guy who was the chef for the Denmark embassy. That was pretty cool. Danish chef. Some of the embassies do have foods from their country. In fact, once or twice a year they have these embassy open houses, and you can go inside the embassies and they have cultural and food programs, so you can like go around and they like give you all sorts of food from their country. This year's was canceled due to COVID, but we'll see what next year. Wow, a lot of tree damage here. This is the Fata, the Chata. I haven't had a marble soda. I'm not really sure. Unfortunately, some of the embassies just cater out to local restaurants. It's like, oh, come on, make me something really authentic. I did have an L&P soda once. That's a New Zealand soda. Tastes like a stale lemonade, 7-Up. Some of the embassies do have restaurants. Some even have like a little bar. The British embassy has a pub. The French embassy has a nice restaurant. The World Bank has a cafeteria with like food from every country. I think people come back here to hike so they can get away from the mask requirement. Old Town, yeah, I've been to Old Town a few times. Not lately, though. I haven't been to Old Town, except for my kids' soccer games in the last couple of years. It's actually, the thing about Old Town is it's just kind of complicated to get to. I mean, from where I live, getting to Old Town, I might as well just go to like Annapolis or something. Well, I didn't tell you about my day yesterday. No, this was insane, okay? So I'm driving. Yeah, but the parkway, then you got to go through city streets, and then you got to park, and that's always annoying. I just don't like driving in Virginia that much. Getting over the bridge. I didn't know the RNC. It's on TV, though. So yesterday, I'm driving out to the country house in the morning, and there's this huge accident. This car is like totally on fire. I think like one guy died, a couple guys were injured, and the road was closed for like hours. I had to like divert around. So when I came back, I'm coming back on the Beltway, and I'm in the left speed lane of the Beltway on the outer loop, the outside loop, and all of a sudden everybody locks up their brakes in front of me. I mean like panic lock. I slam on my brakes, and I'm like, what the frick? And then I see bouncing towards us is a frickin' wheel. Like a car tire, a wheel is bouncing right towards a car, 3 cars in front of me. And I'm just like, huh? And then I look over onto the inner loop, which is the other side of the Beltway, and I see this pickup truck missing his front left wheel. He's on 3 wheels, and he's spewing out sparks as his hub is like scratching on the surface of the road. I'm like, that dude lost his tire, and then the tire bounced over the divider onto the other side. I'm just like, oh, F me. So I got out of it. But like 5 minutes later, it was a traffic nightmare. I did call the cops. I did 911. And since they said, well, is anyone injured? I said, I don't really think so. They said, okay, we're going to flip you over to a different cop, Maryland State Police. So I called them, and they're like, oh, my God. And then I called the radio guy, WTOP, traffic and weather on the 8th. And I gave him a report. And they're like, oh, this day was already crazy because of the Suitland Parkway fatal. I'm like, yep. WTOP is our news station. And every 10 minutes on the 8th, they do traffic and weather. So if you want to know about traffic, they're the guys to call. It's a news station, but they just do the traffic every 10 minutes. So I called them and said, hey, I just saw a wheel bouncing down the outer loop. They're like, what? I said, I saw a car with 3 wheels on the inner loop, and I saw a tire and a wheel rolling down the outer loop. And they're like, oh, God. So that was a pretty crazy one. On my right is a place called Dumbarton Oaks. Dumbarton Oaks is like a fancy house, private garden, but it also houses the Bretton Woods documents. Bretton Woods was the park out in Maryland where the world powers after World War II met to set up a new financial world order with the World Bank, IMF, etc. Their documents from those meetings are stored here. Okay, that was an uphill. For those wondering, that was a big uphill. So now we're up on R Street in Georgetown. And there's a famous house down here. There's a couple famous houses, okay? Let's go see these houses. Those documents are in a library that's maintained by Harvard University and I believe Princeton. So Harvard and Princeton provide the library staff to maintain the Bretton Woods documents. And researchers come over here to Dumbarton Oaks, back there, when they're doing research on the history of the World Bank or IMF. Ooh. So, we're going to take a little slight detour over here, because there's 2 houses I want to show you guys. I've shown you some of these before, but some of you who are new might appreciate this. I'm sure there's copies of those. Rock Creek is straight ahead of me on the other side of a cemetery down there. Let's start up here, because then I don't have to walk uphill. No, we can walk uphill, it's fine. So this is Avon Place, and we're going to go down here to Dent Street, I think it is. D-E-N-T. Because down here on Dent Street, in the 3200 block, is a rather nondescript townhouse that had a rather flamboyant and famous owner. Jeff Bezos' house is over on the other side of Mass Avenue. We sort of skipped that. So So, if my memory serves me right, you guys see that yellow house over there? Yeah. The house was not in the movie. California is more spread out. I like being able to walk places. In fact, I don't really like Washington's too spread out for me, to be honest. That's why I like Hong Kong. So I'm pretty sure this yellow house right here, yeah, this yellow house, this was Bill Casey's house. All right, William Casey, Wild Bill Casey. Wild Bill Casey was the director of the Central Intelligence Agency under President Reagan. Bill Casey was the guy who ran the Iran-Contra missions and a lot of other stuff, aiding the Afghan Mujahideen against the Russian troops, the Soviets. And Bill Casey lived right over there. Bill Casey also served in the OSS, which was the precursor to the CIA during World War II. Bill Casey, Star Wars, all that. He's a pretty famous dude. William Casey. Now, Tour, was he in Star Wars? He wasn't in Star Wars. He built the Strategic Defense Initiative against the Russians, nicknamed Star Wars. Now, this big house up here is very famous in the Washington social circles. This was the house owned by Katharine Graham. Katharine Graham was the publisher of the Washington Post. It was Katharine Graham who authorized the Pentagon Papers in the movie called The Post with Tom Hanks. It was Katharine Graham who was in charge of the Post when all the president's men were being handled by Woodward and Bernstein. She was the grand maven of DC socialites, where presidents, ambassadors, diplomats, the wealthy, the powerful would come to Katharine Graham's dinners to talk about DC society. Katie Graham lived right here. Yeah, they do have big tax bills. Now the Graham family has sold this property. They do not own it anymore. In fact, they have sold the Post. Jeff Bezos now owns the Washington Post. Now, interesting side note I wasn't aware of until recently. Prior to Katie Graham, well, Daniel, her husband, Graham, buying this place, this house was known by a guy named Bill Donovan. Yeah? Or, as he was known in Washington circles, Wild Bill Donovan. Wild Bill Donovan lived here before Kathy Graham. And Wild Bill Donovan is the guy who set up the OSS during World War II. The OSS was the main intelligence and sabotage organization of the United States during World War II. I didn't know there was a bell here. Washington Post March was written by John Philip Sousa long before Katie Graham's time. The Exorcist House is back by the campus, which is actually, it's about a mile away from here, to be honest. We might be able to make it over there today, though. We'll see. That's actually a cemetery. Yeah, they got a British phone booth over there. I never noticed that. Cool. No, I think the Grahams sold it directly to Bezos. I don't think Katie Graham did date Warren Buffett for a while. They were lovers for a while. But I don't know if Buffett ever bought the Post. Maybe, I'm not sure. I thought it was a direct sale between the Graham family and the Bezoses. I think the Post sold for like $220 million or something, which I thought was surprisingly low. The embassies we've missed. Most of the embassies are on Mass Avenue. Now, a lot of diplomats and congressmen live in these areas, in these houses around here. But I think there's only a few embassies in Georgetown itself. The rent is just too high. It's just too expensive to have an embassy here. Venezuela has an embassy here. Myanmar, I think, has an embassy. I'm not sure. Bhutan or something. And then Sweden has their embassy down here. Yeah. Yeah, Berkshire Hathaway might have bought an interest. Phone. Oh, guys, I'm sorry to report my phone's battery is almost dead. This is unreal. I thought my phone was fully charged when I left the house. Maybe it's because I'm using these Bluetooth. I didn't bring two phones today. I left the other phones at home. Oh, that's a bummer. Maybe because I'm using these Bluetooth headsets or something. It's sucking the battery more. Maybe it's just because it's hot. The battery gets eaten up in the heat. We've got to keep we're going to have to turn it off soon. I'm surprised the wife hasn't called. The kids have been online since I left the house, and I'm sure she's a rage monster right now about that. But I shouldn't be getting a battery warning this quickly. I wonder if there's a battery drain using these Bluetooth headsets, because I'm using the AirPods today. I don't usually scope with the AirPods. Usually I use a microphone. But the microphone was in my car, and I didn't feel like going to my car to get it. I didn't bring a charger. I didn't, because normally I can do a whole scope and only suck down half the battery. And I thought I left the house with a full battery today. I have a bunch of phones, yeah. I develop apps every now and then. So I have multiple phones, multiple devices in the house. When the kids need a phone, I can give them a phone. But they don't have a phone that's under their control 24/7. The phones are always kept in my room. And like if they go to like a soccer practice, I'll give them a phone for emergencies. And when he goes to this or that, I'll give him a phone. But generally I don't give them phones. Oof. These are some big houses. That one's being gutted. I'm about 2 miles from home right now. 1.5 miles, 2 miles, about 5,000-6,000 steps. It'll be about a half hour to get home. But I'm probably going to stop at the barbecue place and get a sandwich. Or I might just go home, get my bicycle, and then take the kids for a bike ride and get a sandwich. Kids are being couch potatoes today. Yes, we're in Washington, D.C. right now. I'm supposed to wear a mask, but I'm being lazy. You are at 30th and P Street Northwest. 30 blocks from the Capitol, and P is what? 14th, 15th letter, so 15 blocks north of the Capitol. I've shown you this one before, but this house here with that little pillbox attachment, you see that windowsill that's sort of sticking out at this house? This house is from the movie St. Elmos Fire, where Emilio Estevez was yelling for Ali Sheedy to come down, and Ali Sheedy's roommate is like, "You're a psycho, get away from me." That was filmed right there at that house. So you St. Elmo's Fire fans, you can watch the movie again and you'll know where that was taking place. It's just a window dormer sort of thing. It looks like a pillbox, but actually it's just a way to have like a bay window. Otherwise you just end up with a flat house. Is it? Emilio Estevez is still alive, isn't he? I don't know. He's Martin Sheen's son. Andy McDowell. Was it Andy McDowell? Yeah, that's what I meant. What did I say? Someone else. She's kind of faded, right? She was famous and then she just sort of disappeared, right? Ali Sheedy, yeah, that's right. I don't know why I said that. She was in the movie too, wasn't she? I've lost track of all my 80s Brat Pack people. This block has a lot of houses owned by some very wealthy dudes. Very powerful. Now down on my left is an Episcopal church, which was the ground zero for coronavirus in DC. So that church right down there was the first cases of corona in DC. The pastor of the church got sick, and suddenly 300 of the movers and shakers in Washington, DC were all suspect for a coronavirus infection. John Philip Sousa is over by the Marine Barracks at 8th and I. I think he's at 6th and G or 7th and G Street Southeast. His house was close to the Marine Barracks where the band is based. So my kid's school is an Episcopalian school. That church is an Episcopalian church. So when the infection hit that church, some of the kids at our school were suspect. So our school closed about 48 hours after that church was closed. He did live by 8th and I, only a couple blocks away. 6th and G, GH, something like that. F. Might have been F Street, to be honest. I think it might have been F. But it's all in the same area. Hey, Brazil, welcome to Washington, D.C., where my battery's dying. So this is going to be pretty short scope as we come to the end. I do want to show you guys this house. This house is pretty cool. This house has a really big backyard. I am not entirely sure where John Philip Sousa is buried. I thought he was buried in Congressional Cemetery on Capitol Hill, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Congressional Cemetery on Capitol Hill is near RFK Stadium. I'm going to check that out one day. Oh God. It must be these headphones that are sucking down my battery so much. So over here on the left is Thomas Sweet's homemade ice cream. Some of the famous photos you see there are Biden and Obama. Obama and Biden will sometimes show up at Thomas Sweet's to get ice cream. So there's a bunch of photos inside of the former president and vice president eating ice cream. It's actually pretty good ice cream. I will admit that. I don't come here anymore. Oh, I should get on that bus. It's free. Georgetown Cupcake is down that way, and I'm afraid, though, I can't really show you much more, guys, because my batteries are toast. So I'm just going to leave you with this street scene of Georgetown. We'll come back. We're back in the city now for a while, so we'll be back later. I'm not riding in any car or Uber. I got to walk home. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Check out my YouTube channel, Penguin6. I'll put some videos up there soon. See you next time.